Hello, my friends. After, I don't know, how long has it been? Weeks of sort of absence. Why? No. Vitamin D Grant is back. I was Y2 Dave in the year 1999 and the year 2000 when I started out in radio. Not bringing that guy back, but Vitamin D Grant is back for something that will inspire you, possibly challenge you beyond ways that you would imagine me going into. But if you're up for something that's a little bit different, a wildly bit creative, and also something that might push your buttons a little bit in the right ways, come on, my friend, let's dig into the soil of this together. All right, so in case you've never seen or met me before, my name is D. Grant Smith. I am the growth farmer for personal development and spirituality, blending storytelling into all kinds of new and interesting ways to bring about a combination of enlightenment, inspiration, and education for your individual journey. Now, if you are a highly sensitive person and or an empath, you're really going to key in and feel more harmonized with this because that's what I am too. If you're not, totally fine, no big deal. I talk a lot about superheroes and other stuff that I'm really passionate about, especially really awesome movies. Now, that's the subject we're going to go into today because I've had a lot of, I don't know if you call them revelations, but as a writer, as a storyteller, and as a highly creative person, I'm becoming more and more aware of the things that I put into myself when I'm watching movies or TV shows have an impact on the way that I see myself and the way that I see life and the world and other people. And actually, I'm noticing even more, it's affecting my self concept in some ways that I wasn't aware of before. Now, most of us have spent a lot of our lives watching all kinds of different movies and TV shows and other kinds of stuff on TV. And now we've got streaming platforms that have, I don't know, 50,000 movies and shows and all kinds of stuff to choose from on just one platform. The decision making that comes into just picking something to watch is nuts. Have you experienced that? I'm sure you have. Maybe you spend 30 minutes just trying to decide what it is you're going to see. So many choices and so many of the stories seeming to be kind of similar to each other if you think about it. So I had this kind of realization on Sunday, uh, New Year's Eve. Today's the 3rd of January, 2024. Um, I had this realization on New Year's Eve as I was watching a pretty popular show on Showtime called Billions. Now, it's a really interesting show when you get down to the brass tacks of it, because the show is really about this psychological chess game between a billionaire and the attorney general who wants to bring him down for fraudulent activity. And all through the story are all these other characters that are mostly conniving and manipulating and cheating themselves and each other and their relationships in a variety of different ways. The psychology of the show is what got me interested in it. But as I'm sitting there watching this, I'm realizing, all of these people are lying to each other at every turn, and their relationships are falling apart at every turn. And there's always some sort of angle that every single person's trying to take to either stay on top, not go to jail, or just protect themselves in the slightest little way, but it doesn't have integrity in it. And it doesn't have honesty in it. And it doesn't have any sort of actual real love in it. So why am I so interested in this story? And as I began asking myself this question, it was like, okay, why am I interested in this story? And why have I been so interested in other stories that are like this? Yes, they're interesting. And yes, this is all human dynamic stuff that's taking place. But as I find myself being, I don't know, nervous sometimes, insecure about myself, worried about other people possibly not having my best interest at heart, could it possibly be that I have been subconsciously influenced by the things that I have watched and witnessed on TV shows that are supposed to be entertaining, supposed to be there for me to kind of get out of my own head and get into a different story. But whatever it is that I'm watching, I'm putting that story inside of myself in some way, shape, or form. I heard Wayne Dyer talk about how the average 8-year-old had witnessed 40,000 murders on TV. Yeah, the average child, this was in like 2008, the average child had witnessed 40,000 murders on TV by their 8th or 10th birthday. So that's a lot of death, a lot of murder to psychologically impact your consciousness with. And as we're thinking of and talking more about changing our self-concept, whether you're in the manifestation community or you're in the personal growth, personal development community, or you're just somebody that wants to live a better life, have more peace, have more confidence, have more loving relationships, it's worth it for us to be accountable to ourselves and ask these questions. What am I allowing to influence the way that I see myself and the world that I call entertainment? There's a book that I have reread now 3 times by a guy named Ernest Holmes. Ernest Holmes was kind of like he was a guy that did a lot of the same things that Florence Scovel Shinn and Neville Goddard and Napoleon Hill talk about in terms of your consciousness and your mindset creates your reality, your imagination. But he was doing it before those guys. In 1918, he wrote this book called Creative Mind and Success. And in this book, he said this one very powerful phrase that I keep rereading over and over again. And has everything to do with what we're talking about. He said, see only what you wish to experience and look at nothing else. And I realized that in my own life, maybe you can relate to this too, where you're trying to shift into a different consciousness. You're trying to shift into the version of you that already has what it is that you want, so that you're living from, as Neville describes, living from the wish fulfilled. But maybe that old story keeps sneaking back in, and maybe it's not even sneaking back in. It keeps showing up over and over and over again to get your attention, to not let you step into the version of you that is already the person that you want to be, the person who has the healthy relationship, or has attracted your specific person, or has that relationship with your specific person, or has all the money that you've ever wanted, where money isn't an obstacle for you at all. It just flows in effortlessly and easily. Your success is outstanding. You're traveling the world, doing what you want, having the time of your life. That's your self-concept of your wish fulfilled. But the reality or the story that you are living in presently is the exact polar opposite of that. Could it be that there's influences in your subconscious that keeps pulling you back towards the opposite of what you want? And could it be that maybe some of these entertainment viewing choices are lending a hand in that influence? For myself, I can say that it is, and it was. And so as much as I love watching that TV show, I've put the kibosh on that, because I'm not as interested in seeing how that story plays out as I am in reframing and reshaping my own self-concept and removing anything that will take me away from that focus. Because like Ernest Holmes said, I want to see only what I wish to experience in my imagination, in my thoughts, and in my consciousness, and look at nothing else. And anything that takes me away from that is not worth it, because I choose me. You probably heard me say that over and over again last year in going through another shift in consciousness, another upgrade in my confidence and in my self-concept. I'm choosing me first, because loving yourself first is the one true love that you will always have. You are the one person you can't live without, literally and figuratively. And coming into this realization that choosing yourself first isn't this selfish, evil thing. It's this loving, beautiful thing. Because now, since you love yourself and you choose yourself first, you're not dependent upon anybody else to do that for you. So what you give to other people ends up being more pure, true love. This is how we growth farm love within our inner garden, in our hearts, and in our minds. And it comes down in many ways, actually in all ways, it comes down to the story that we are not only telling ourselves, but that we are feeding ourselves. So I got into this new practice yesterday. This is what I'm going to be doing. I still watch TV shows. I'm not like blacklisting all television and all that stuff. but I am being more scrupulous, more careful, and more discerning on what it is that I'm actually allowing to come into my mind and take up residence in my head, in my imagination, and in my consciousness. And if it doesn't fit into alignment with me being the person that I want to be and seeing the world the way that I want to see it, then I'm sorry, it's got to go. I'm putting kind of a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson bouncer in front of my door for what gets in and what doesn't, because I love myself fully, wholly, and totally. And I'm totally committed to living out the self-concept of the person that I envision myself to be. What about you? Are you totally committed to being the version of you that you want to be, especially as we start this new year? Maybe you've had an awareness of some areas in your life where confidence hasn't been very strong. Maybe you've held yourself back. Maybe you've told yourself a bunch of negative stories that have kept you playing small, or kept you from speaking up, or kept you going through these same cycles over and over and over again. And you want to change, and maybe you're reading the self-help books. Maybe you're watching videos like this. Thank you for doing so. This is all helpful. But what really makes the difference for you is choosing yourself, and maybe even choosing to walk with somebody through this process to look at your story in a different way. I'm a huge superhero nerd, as you probably know, and I like using superheroes as a metaphor for ways to see ourselves and our journeys more clearly. If you'd like to see the superhero journey that you're currently living, whether it seems that way or not, I'd love the opportunity to talk with you. I invite you to check out everything I have for you at growthfarming.com. There you will find some exciting, entertaining, enlightening, and educational stories, novels, and books that will help you reshape the way that you see yourself. Take a look at your own journey in a new light. Feel inspired by even the obstacles and difficulties that you faced, because you'll see yourself in characters that look very similar to you, even though they're living in a different world. And then on top of that, I've got these powerful, dynamic, and excellent in-depth courses to take the lessons from those stories, extrapolate them out, and apply them directly to your life so that you can grow in confidence, reshape your self-concept, operate from peace, from kindness, and from real love. And if you want a supportive community of people to help you go through this process, including working with me in either a group coaching session or a one-on-one program, that option is available for you too. Everything, once again, is at growthfarming.com. I invite you to join me there. Will you choose to step up to a different kind of self-concept? This year, will you take on the same philosophy that I'm taking on, which is seeing only what you wish to experience and looking at nothing else? If so, comment below and let me know. If you haven't done so already, give this video a thumbs up, share it with somebody that you know that wants to level up in their life. And once again, if you want to reshape your self-concept, rewrite your story, and live out a superhero story where you're living with the superpowers that are uniquely yours, connect with me. I'd love to help you in this process. I appreciate you. I love you. And I'll see you again soon.